Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, housekeeping, let's please hit that thumbs up button as you all are watching this show. This really helps me with my engagement. And if you like what you see, y'all hit the subscribe button. Once you subscribe, you'll be open to a plethora of movies and television series that I have reviewed. Listen, we're going to get into this. Y'all saw the slide. Y'all saw the slide. Y'all, they done caught several musicians and artists being yoked out with these PPP loans. They got Chris Brown, Marshmello, Lil Wayne. They've got a whole host of other folks. I'm going to list them real quick. These people called Alice in Chains, Shine Down, Ray Schmurder them, and John Ioko. They got them all, child. And we're gonna go over this article. First, we're gonna go over the initial article, the Business Insider article, but we're gonna give you an overview through the Variety article, which is written by Stephen J. Horowitz. And it says here, Lil Wayne, Chris Brown, and Marshmello allegedly misused pandemic grants to pay themselves or throw lavish parties. Little Wayne, now I don't want you to think that they're the only ones that done it. They're just now the face of it, according to Variety, because there's been several artists that have been accused of using these funds illegal, misusing the funds. All right, Little Wayne, Chris Brown, and Marshmello are just a few of the musicians who applied for and received payouts as part of the Shuttered Venues Operation Grant, a government program meant to aid independent venues and art groups struggling during the pandemic. But according to a new report, they allegedly used the money to instead pay themselves or throw lavish parties at the cost of taxpayers. And let's be very clear, taxpayers were getting what was it, $1,400. Those weren't PPP loans, but they were getting the $1,400, and then you could apply for the PPP loans. Well, artists were applying for those PPP loans in under the Shuttered Venue Operation Grant. So with them doing that, they had to, they had to fill out the application, everything. Excuse me. But different artists were getting different amounts of payment. Excuse me. Y'all excuse me. Let's get back to the article. It says here, Lil Wayne and Chris Brown and Marshmello are just a few of the musicians who applied for and received payouts as part of the Shuttered Venues Operation Grant, a government program meant to aid independent venues and artists struggling during the pandemic. And I did read that part, but according to a new report, they allegedly used the money instead to pay themselves or throw lavish parties. In a detailed report from Business Insider, the musicians who received the grants also include Alice in Chains, Shine Down, Ray Schmurda, I think is how to pronounce it, and Steve Aiko applied for assistance after the grant was signed into law by Donald Trump in 2020. The artists were eligible to receive up to $10 million to spend on ordinary and necessary expenses earmarked for their loan out companies and were required to make a good faith statement to the Small Business Administration and show their companies had lost revenue of at least 25% between one quarter in 2019 and the same quarter in 2020. And this is why the people who make over $100,000 a year, they love Donald Trump, because they're able to get this type of money, plus they're able to get these tax breaks. But let's continue. But the report claims that many of the musicians who received the grants, none of who responded to the publication's request for comment, so they didn't respond to Variety for comments, used the money to pay either themselves or for unrelated expenses, Wayne's, whose reps did not respond to Variety's request for comment, received 8.9 million that he divvied up for personal use, including 1.3 million on private jets, over $460,000 on designer clothes, and 2.14 million to settle a debt from his former manager Cortez Bryant. Brown, meanwhile, received 10 million for his company CBE Touring. The performer paid himself 5.1 million and spent nearly 80,000 on his lavish 33rd birthday. Marshmello was given $9.9 million grant, all of which went into his pocket since he made more than 9.9 million from touring in 2019. Now, I think he is a DJ. Aoko company DJ Kid Millionaire Touring used 2.4 million on payroll costs, 1.9 million of which was paid to him. 3 members of Shinedown split 2.5 million of their 8.3 million grant, while its 15 touring employees received a combined 650,000. Ray Schmurda got 7.7 million for its Strim touring, with a solid chunk going to the duo. In total, 13,000 art groups received money from the SBOG. At first, musicians weren't explicitly eligible until the SBA reserved the decision in late 2021. According to the SVOG website, the program included over 16 billion in grants to shuttered funds. Now, we're going to go over here to the story, the Business Insider story. We're not going to read it because it is extremely long, but I did want to go down here and show the receipts that they had. So here, as you can see here, you got Lil Wayne's shopping spree. So they're showing you the stuff that he purchased, some of the things that he purchased for this and when he purchased it. Lil Wayne stylist spent $8,626.41 on one trip to the high-end boutique Dover Street Market in 2022, according to the accounting documents seen by Business Insider. Taxpayers footed the bill. Here's some of what the rapper bought. On New Year's Eve 2021, he was scheduled to perform at a concert in Coachella, California. But shortly before his set was scheduled to start, a concert employee announced that the rapper would be unable to perform because of the wind and the flights. The crowd booed. Wind gusts of 20 to 30 miles per hour were reported in Southern California that night, but data from Flight Trader 24 indicates 4 other private jets flew the exact same route Lil Wayne was scheduled to fly. Instead, he posted on Instagram suggests that he partied that night at a club on Sunset Boulevard with the rapper 2 Chainz. Oops. Oops. And then they have a breakdown of how Lil Wayne spent his grant, settling a debt owed. Let's make this a little bit bigger. All right. I just want us to be able to see it. And let's move these overlays. So it says here, for expenses related to concerts he never performed, Lil Wayne billed taxpayers $88,000. He spent his grant by settling a debt owed to his ex-manager, Cortez Bryant, commissions to then manager Mike Main, private jets, lawyers at Grubman Shire. And let's go over. So to pay this debt, it was $2.1 million. The commissions to then managers Mac Main was $1.71 million. Private jet, $1.38 million. Lawyers at Grubman Shire, $590,000. Accountants, 500 and what is that? 89,000. Clothes, 528,000. Contractors who worked on Lil Wayne's shows, 300 and let's say about $330,000. Excuse me. Settling a debt owed to a former accountant. Excuse me, y'all. 300,000. A child, not a mystery woman. Not a mystery woman. Not a mystery woman getting some of this PPP loan. 14,900 $14,000. Let's just might as well have just said 15,000. And everything else was 1.3 million dollars, and I believe that was going to Little Wayne. The mystery woman. Child. Lil Wayne's publicist didn't respond to the numerous requests for comment or details for the question. He reached by text. Lil Wayne made a sexually explicit overture to a reporter and did not respond to the questions. Ooh, ooh. So let's go down here. They were talking about other stars that received money, and we're going to check this out, see if they have a nice little. So they're talking about Chris Brown, DJ Marshmello, Alice in Chains. So let's see if they've got a detailed it says Lil Wayne spent $80,000 on a birthday party. Lil Wayne wasn't the only to engage in questionable grant spending. Excuse me. Chris Brown spent his grant on a big paycheck and a big party. Of the $10 million grant Brown's company CBE Touring received, 5.1 million went to Brown personally. He also billed taxpayers nearly $80,000 for his 33rd birthday party. The blowout held at Lux Los Angeles event space featured a 3,650 LED dance floor and atmosphere models, nude women in body paint who cost $2,100 according to expense reports and a blog post by the party planner. The bill included more than 29,000 for hookah, bottle service, nitrogen ice cream, and damages involving burn holes to rented couches. While the grant was meant to support live entertainment, Brown also charged 24,000 to the grant for the cost of driving his tour bus from the US to Tulum, Mexico, and back in fall 2020, doing a month-long stay for him and his entourage in the resort town where he did not perform. He spent several days in Tulum filming a video with Jack Harlow for a joint track, but it's not clear if the rest of the trip was for business or pleasure. And more than 179,000 of the grant went towards a celebrity basketball tournament broadcast on YouTube, including a $20,000 payment to the Indianapolis Colts tight end Mo Alley Cox, who played on Brown's basketball team. And here we go. We've got a detailed listing of him, and it talked about anything. And if you look at it here, we won't go back over it again, but just clearly you could see they received millions upon millions of dollars, and they spent, this is how they spent the money. Now, my question is, and we'll go down. My question is this considered to be misappropriation of funds? Did they do a detailed analysis of how they spent their money to the Small Business Association? Okay, it says Marshmello, whose real name is Christopher Comstock, received a 9.9 million grant more than a year later when the SBA asked for proof where it went. His business manager, Stephen McCauley of NKSFB, don't know what that is, responded by saying all the money went into Comstock's pocket. Because the beneficiary received 2019 officers draws slash salary from 365 Touring International in excess of the SOVG grant award. We therefore expense the entire grant balance to payroll. Macaulay wrote in an April 2023 letter seen by Business Insider. In other words, because Comstock made more than $9.9 million from touring in 2019, he was able to award himself the entire grant. In doing so, Comstock paid himself more than any other musician who received the grant. His publicist and manager did not reply to requests for comment, nor did Macaulay. Artists often paid themselves far more than they paid anyone else involved in putting on their live show. They talk about Steve Aoko's loan out of company for his loan for his company DJ Kid Millionaire Touring used 2.4 million in grant money on payroll costs, of which 1.9 million was officer pay. He is the company's only officer. Aoko's publishers did not respond to the request for the comment. So they're basically using because there's probably wording in there that you have to pay your employees and all those different things. And if you are your company's only employee, y'all let me know, did they mess up? Now these things about paying for parties and things like that that had nothing to do with your businesses, that is totally a different thing. Buying the clothes, unless you bought those clothes for your business, with being an entertainer, you buying clothes to be able to perform on stage, unless you can show that you bought those clothes for performing on stage, uh Lil Wayne, will they have to pay this money back, or will they go to jail? Will there be a hearing? What's going on? And so, lastly, three of the four members of rock band Shinedown split at least 2.5 million of their 8.3 million grant. On top of those distributions, Shinedown's four members paid themselves more than $100,000 each out of the roughly 1.2 million of the grant that was allocated to payroll. The band's 15 touring production workers, meanwhile, received a combined $650,000 of the grant, less than a single member of the band got. Publicists for the band did not respond. Records seen by Business Insider shows that a good chunk of the 7.7 million grant to Shrim Touring, the loan out company for the hip hop duo Ray Schmurda, was paid by the rappers Slim, Jim, and Sway Lee, whose real names are Quill Brown and Khalif Brown. The duo's manager, lawyer, and publishers did not respond for comment. Let's get to this Alice in Chains. On March 23, 2022, the records show that Alice in Chains singer guitarist Jerry Cantrell took 1.4 million as an SOVG distribution. The band's drummer Sean Kinney received the same amount. Its bassist Mike Innes booked half of that sum, about 682,000. In all, 3.4 of the 4.1 million in grant allotted for payroll went to the three musicians at top. Excuse me. So here's your Alice in Chains and your Shinedown, your Ray Schmurder, and your Steve Aiko. These are the people that they were talking about in the article itself about the artists benefiting from the PPP loans besides Chris Brown, Marshmello, and Lil Wayne. Y'all, what do y'all think about this? Do you think that they are going to do you think that they're going to have to suffer any consequences? Do you think that they're going to have to pay something back? Y'all let me know down in the comments. Y'all, what do y'all think about this? Because I thought, you had artists probably 2 years ago going to jail because of these PPP loans. And the one that I remember who went to jail, I don't know if he's still in jail or not, but you remember the guy from Pretty Ricky, the group Pretty Ricky, who had spent a lot of money talking about he had a trucking company and he was spending it on himself. So I'm interested to see, is this going to lead to anything? Y'all let me know down in the comments. Before I leave you, I want to make sure, because like I said, I didn't read the whole article for Business Insider because it is huge. So it looks like the IRS has come after Chris Brown because looks like he owes some taxes, about 2.2 million, and he hadn't paid 1.3 in state taxes. It doesn't look like, I haven't read anything, and like I said, I'm not going to go back up, but I just wanted to see if there was any issues and consequences for that. So it looks like Chris Brown has some tax issues, and the rest of them, I guess that they're going to have to evaluate whether or not that they have broken any laws, and if they're going to have to go to jail. Are they going to jail? 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 We'll see. Because again, probably they have been able to manipulate, find a loophole in the whole situation. Because again, if you are an employee of your company, then you have paid yourself, and if you paid other people and stuff like that. Like I said, if you bought those clothes, but you can show that you wore those clothes while you were performing at some point, maybe you can get away with purchasing those clothes. I don't know. But y'all leave the comments down. What do you think is going to happen? You think they're gonna go to jail? Do you think that they're gonna be prosecuted? Well, you think they're gonna get prosecuted and then end up in jail? Or do you think that they've had done some very careful accounting? Y'all let me know down in the comments. And please engage me in the comments because I love when y'all engage me in the comments. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you cannot stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.